twerk.
It's like a poetry reading.
Gather around, kids.
Uncle Matt's got a story to tell.
I don't know. Fuck, dude. I don't remember which one it was on. Twerking: A Complete History, VH1? No. Whoa. As a naked Miley Cyrus.
Find it?
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
Alright, let's hear it.
This is pretty long. Holy shit. Alright. I've seen variants of twerking my entire life. I remember watching the elderly women dance at the predominantly West African church I attended.
It's the right one.
If the right praise song was sung, they'd grab a white handkerchief and dance their way to the front of the church. They'd rotate their hips and bounce their bums until they were barely above the ground. In essence, their core movement was the same as twerking, all in the ass and hips. It's rhythmic and complex, footwork's intricate, and even though the body is blending different rhythms, it all manages to flow like water. The rows of twerking are rich. Variants of the dance exist in most places where there's a high concentration of people of African descent. Its current iteration is commonly associated with the New Orleans bounce scene. However, growing up in London, I immediately associate it with the dance hall scene. If people took the time to explore the root of what's been dubbed as the twerk, they'd realize its origins lie in West Africa. It's strikingly similar to the Mopaku dance from Ivory Coast, a dance done by women that focuses on the buttocks. It's existed for centuries. Perhaps twerking doesn't have the technical depth or chronicled history of ballet. It isn't viewed as a dance scholarship-worthy discipline like tap. However, it has an equally interesting history. When done properly, it takes tremendous skill and attention. If we view twerking through a Western prism, we'll interpret it as being sexual, scandalous, and controversial. However, when you place it in the original context, you'll realize it's a cultural expression of joy, with its function being primarily celebratory rather than for sexual provocation.
Use your English.
Growing up, I saw it most frequently performed during joyful occasions, family gatherings and weddings. There was nothing scandalous about it. It was simply dancing. Basically, twerking isn't new. It may seem sudden, but mainstream media is merely catching up to something that's existed in black global culture for years. And now, sadly, twerking has been branded and is now being fetishized and ghettoized. As we all know, Miley Cyrus was a conduit that brought twerking to the mainstream conscience. This is unsurprising. The world is unarmored with black culture and corporations know this. However, they'd much prefer to sell and explore the black cultural experience using white faces. A few months ago, Cyrus uploaded a YouTube video wearing a onesie and twerking to a song called The WAP. Frankly, she can't really twerk. Miley can't move like the twerk team, who accumulated millions of views on YouTube and a significant underground following. As a result, Miley's recent MTV VMAs performance was a masterclass in how to become an unintentional comedy masterpiece. She twerked badly and stuck her tongue out. It was weird and awkward. But Miley Cyrus' cleverly marketed hypersexualization tour doesn't trouble me. If it's her expression of agency, let her do as she wishes. For me, the most disturbing thing about Miley's performance was the use of black women as props. I doubt Miley grasps what she's doing. Miley thinks she's just turning up with some cool black girls behind her. She doesn't understand the politics of race and gender at work while she gets to live out her beautiful capitalist fantasy surrounded by colorful props. I doubt she grasps intersectionality and how it means women of color experience oppression at an intensity that white women don't. She certainly didn't feel me wince as she slapped a shapely black woman's behind, a woman she happens to employ. That's what wealth and privilege do. They inoculate you from feeling the acute pain oppressed groups live through daily.
Can I know you didn't write this, but can I posit a question just for the audience of two people? Did
Sure.
Nicki Minaj do this shit to culture? Isn't she the one that caused twerk to twerk, right?
Yes, maybe.
Is Nicki
I have no
Minaj
clue.
not black enough?
She's not black enough.
I see.
Nicki
Go back on
Minaj.
your... Continue the Tumblr rant if you wish. If not...
It's impossible to become black via behavior, and if there were some procedure to become black, I'm sure Miley wouldn't undergo it. That would mean she'd be exposed to systematic prejudice that comes with being black. That's too cumbersome and no fun. Instead, Miley picks the parts of black culture that suit her agenda and tickle her taste buds. Eventually, she'll get bored. That's how brief periods of fascination with exotic things they're exploited for profit, social clout, and cool factor, then discarded.
like
a bit like that
pineapples
time.
in the Victorian era.
Yep. A bit like that time when people wore bindus as a fashion statement. That Chinese calligraphy tattoo on your lower back that you're embarrassed to show now. All those Asian-inspired clothes from the 90s that you donated to your local thrift store. Wow, this is racist. When all is said and done, the media will get tired and people will grow bored. But before you get tired of twerking, or whatever the newest ethnic-inspired fad is, trace its roots. Find out what it truly means to people and how it evolved. Respect the rich cultural heritage it draws from, and remember the people who kept it alive long before it was trendy. Thank you, and goodbye.